Hey everybody, it's me, Angel Benton, and it is time for another edition of Angel Sudsy Recap, where we delve into the world of daytime television and we do a few reality shows on the side. And one of those reality shows that we're doing is The Real Housewives of Auckland. Previously on The Real Housewives of Auckland. So, well, previously on The Real Housewives of Auckland, we, first of all, for in this particular episode, okay, I'm really loving intern Leah. Like I know that she's very timid and she's very stressed out all the time, which honey, trust me, I get. I can relate to that so much. I know exactly what it's like to be stressed at your job all the time and constantly be, especially if what for people like me that suffer from anxiety, and I am only mildly suffer from anxiety. I'm not like Zayn Malik where, I had to cancel a tour because I've got so much anxiety. Really? No, you go on and you do the show. Does that mean that I'm not spilkus the whole time? I totally am, but whatever. Anyways, so, she got into a car accident and God, Angela Stone, I swear. Angela Stone was just I don't think she means to do it on purpose, but she was just so bitchy when she was telling Leah about the car, and she was crying when she saw the car, and how this was her children's car. I mean, this is a Volkswagen Golf or whatever. Like, I mean, like, are you really gonna leave your children the Volkswagen Golf? Like that's some big, if it was a Bentley or something or a Escalade or some really serious extravagant car, then I'd be like, okay, well, yeah, she fucked that up. Yeah, it's a Volkswagen Golf. I mean, okay. You know what's so funny is that out of all the foreign housewife shows, there's Auckland, there's Melbourne, well, there's Sydney that I haven't seen yet, so I'm not counting that one, and then there's Cheshire. And out of all those three, the one I think with the most cultural differences from the United States has to be Auckland. You know, Melbourne has a few, but those mostly related to language and the way that people say things and that. Like, for example, their use of the word partner, even for straight people. I don't know any straight people in America that refer to each other as their partner. I only hear gay people say that. And even nowadays, that's kind of disappearing. Now that gay marriage is legal here, that's sort of disappearing because they're either your boyfriend or your husband, which is exactly what I've been saying this whole time, but whatever. Oh, it's my partner. Oh, God. Anyways, that's why when Gina was talking about her partner in season one, I totally thought that it was a woman. I thought she was lesbian. Whatever. Sorry. Anyways, okay, so yeah, big cultural differences between New Zealand and America, like in a big way, because they make a big deal out of nothing. Now, granted, it might be because they're such a small country, but I don't get it. It's one of those things where I'm just gonna chalk that up to a cultural difference and just move on. Now, has Anne is a fierce bitch. Anne's a fierce bitch. She really is. She well, first of all, let's go before we get into Anne. Okay, so they had Louise had this acting lesson with just an acting coach. It was just the two of them, and then she invited Julia and Michelle. First of all, I saw Michelle on Instagram, and that bitch looks incredible. I mean, she does know how to take a good picture. Like she really does. It was pretty fierce. So I can definitely see why so many big designers picked her to model because she's pretty ferocious on camera. I got to give her props. Okay, so Louise invited Julie and Michelle. Anne wasn't invited this time to this acting workshop, and Julia just rips into Louise in front of the acting teacher. And here's the thing, because they were doing this thing where you have to practice your accents, right? So Julia decides to practice her drunken Louise accent and say, "I'm bossy and I'm really just a stuck-up bitch." I mean, like, and I felt so bad for Michelle because, of course, Michelle's in the middle. She always manages to be in the middle of all these horrible arguments, and it was totally awkward. So she, Louise and Julia have it out. And Julia basically says, um, I just don't get why all this hating on Louise, where that's coming from. I really don't. She hasn't done anything malicious or spiteful that I've seen on camera at all, right? I mean, Julia's done far worse. And it's so funny because, Julia's all offended that, Anne called her a gold digger, but, that word would never have even came up if she hadn't have said it when she was talking about Gilda. So that doesn't, and then she got all upset when Anne called her a gold. Well, girl, don't be trying to deflect your mess onto someone else and then get upset when you get called out for it. I'm just saying. She was she was so pissed. And this is what I love about Louise. And this is I'm not going to say it's Caroline Manzo, but it's very, because Caroline would just be like, move on. She would go ahead and just continue with her life because she's got other shit she's got to worry about. She don't got to worry about any of this bullshit. But I love winding Julia up. Like, she takes a little bit of perverse pleasure in watching Julia get so worked up. And Julia's husband called that right away. So I don't understand why Julia is getting so upset, but whatever. Anyways, so, okay. In terms of, so then after that, Michelle has lunch with Gilda and tells her everything. She can't wait. Let's be real. If you were in that position, I would too. I'd be like, oh my God, girl, let me tell you about this. And then Anne has lunch with Angela and Leah at this French cafe. And Angela gets a very important phone call she has to take, so she excuses herself from the table. And Anne, God bless Anne, because she takes a page right out of the Angel Benton handbook. She starts speaking in French to Leah, and she says, now that Angela's gone, I want to know, how are you at work? Are you okay? Do you miss your family? And Leah's like, oh my God, I'm so stressed at my job. And she's like, of course, Angela's very demanding. And, but here's where things kind of different, because I did something similar to that in Japanese once, and I'm not telling that story on camera though, because I'm just not ready for that yet. But anyways, I did something similar to that, and it was actually a little bit bitchier, but whatever, in Japanese. But anyway, so I get it, right? So I give Anne major props for that. And I also give Anne major props because when Julia came back and asked what you were talking about, Anne told her, yeah, we're talking about you. We're just wondering, I was letting her know that, you're very demanding. And she's like, I need Leah for all these things. And Anne was like, I would much rather have Leah working for my champagne business in France than, her working in the styling industry, and she's not doing any styling. She's just an errand girl, right? So I get it. I totally get it. And I give Anne major props because that was pretty fierce. Okay. So Julia has this little event at her vineyard, and she invites all the girls. And on the way up, Anne is talking about how, the only one who really behaves well is Louise, because she was brought up with money. And you can really tell someone who was brought up with money and someone who has no class, who is nouveau riche. And even though she's like, yeah, when I was younger, I didn't have any money, but, I was able to marry well, and I was able to work my businesses and, all that stuff. So, I give Anne props because she knows where she came from, but she also called it too in terms of people's attitudes, because she goes to the vineyard and Julia just, and of course Louise shows up because it was just a couples thing. So Gilda didn't go, and neither did Angela, because they aren't technically married. So she just it's Michelle, Anne, Julia, and Louise, and they all bring their husbands, and Louise just acted like it was no big deal and just kept going. And that pissed Julia off too. I mean, it's so easy. I can see the appeal because it is really fun to watch Julia get so goddamn worked up about everything. So then Julia comes up and she starts showing off all these sex toys, and it was really making Anne uncomfortable. And Anne basically told the camera, "This is what I meant. This is what I meant." So that was very interesting. I can't wait for next week. I'm so excited. Anyways, thank you so much for logging on today. I do appreciate it. Please feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Angel Benton. You can hashtag RHOAKL or Real Housewife Shit to talk to Real Housewives of Auckland. Or you can hashtag Bold and Beautiful because I'm talking the Bold and the Beautiful next. I've got a little mini programming highlight when I talk about Bold and the Beautiful. And you can also hit that subscribe button on my YouTube channel to get my YouTube videos sent to your inbox every single day. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for logging on today. Have a wonderful day. Peace out. Wubba, wubba, wubba.